Defame. Famous people are often defamed by the media. Exponent. He was one of the most important exponents of the pop art movement. Mortgage. I have a mortgage of 80,000 yen per month. Appease. The Prime Minister fired the minister to appease the opposition. Purported. Everyone is suspicious of the purported witness. Endowment. The business is conducted by an endowment from the local residents. Discredit. That improper remark discredited the mayor. Retrieve. He retrieved the wallet he left on the train from the lost and found. Halt. The war halted the economic growth of the country. Besiege. His hotel was besieged by hundreds of fans. Accusation. The athlete has denied the accusation that he used the drug. Fraud. The fortune teller was sued for fraud.
Instill. Good teachers instill confidence in their students. Norm. Staying with one company during your entire career is no longer a norm. Stunning. The singer is a stunning talent. Disseminate. The activists disseminated information about the recycling program. Hostile. These plants can grow in a hostile environment. Imminent. There was no imminent danger to residents in the area. Predispose. These mice are genetically predisposed to cancer. Surveillance. They are under the surveillance of the authorities. Clamor. The clamor of the crowd grew louder. Assertive. She had to be assertive to ask for a refund at the shop. Calamity. The flood was a serious calamity for local farmers. Whim. I chose the color by the whim of the moment.
Parity. Women have nearly achieved pay parity with men in the company. Prolific. He is known as a prolific writer. Skyrocket. Food prices are skyrocketing. Pesticide. This is a guidebook on how to use pesticides safely. Preservation. The group is working for the preservation of cultural traditions. Scour. He scoured the country for a girl whom the glass shoe fits perfectly. Comprehensive. We must pass a comprehensive examination. Asset. Local governments have to use the public assets effectively. Upheaval. The country was in political upheaval at that time. Renounce. Japan forever renounced war. Deride. Critics derided the plan as nonsense. Harness. New technologies are being developed to harness tidal energy and ocean currents.
Uphold. The judge upheld the lower court's decision. Pounce. A lion pounced on a buffalo. Complacency. They criticized the government for its complacency over the economy. Invert. Please invert the empty glass. Reinforce. The construction company has a contract to reinforce the bridge. Extract. I extracted essential oil from lavender. Ample. I had ample time to complete the test. Brag. He bragged about his collection of classic cars. Onus. The onus was on the new president to revive the country's economy. Prone. My son is prone to injury. Convict. He was convicted of a robbery and served 5 years. Displace. People in the village were displaced due to the developing project.
Contraband. They needed to consider measures to prevent contraband trade. Rebel. He is leading the fight against the rebels. Ember. She blew on the ember to produce fire. Blur. In this novel, the author blurs the line between reality and fiction. Emulate. He is emulating his father as a soccer player. Posture. These stretching exercises help improve your posture. Stigma. There is a stigma attached to obesity. Exorbitant. The storekeeper charged me an exorbitant amount of money. Ignite. His book ignited another heated dispute. Eradicate. That disease was completely eradicated from the world. Bluntly. To put it bluntly, that is an illegal activity. Ravage. Fortunately, the area escaped the ravages of war.
Tenet. Freedom of speech is a central tenet of democracy. Amass. They amassed enough evidence to support their idea. Brunt. The bank escaped the brunt of the global financial crisis. Multitude. Our education system faces a multitude of problems. Embroil. The president's careless statement embroiled the country into the war. Etch. The rock is etched with various patterns and images. Diversify. Some countries are starting to take steps to diversify energy sources. Hedge. The church is surrounded by a hedge and trees. Regimen. The athlete is undergoing a strict regimen of diet. Subsidize. This hospital is subsidized by the city. Advent. With the advent of the internet, our life has changed dramatically. Drench. A sudden shower drenched me all over.
Specimen. This museum contains about 1,000 specimens of birds. Hypothesis. It's a mere hypothesis proposed for explanation. Pertinent. Please provide pertinent information on the reverse of this form. Implant. A pacemaker was implanted in her chest. Strand. The battery is as thin as a strand of human hair. Devastate. The city was devastated by a huge earthquake. Repel. The farmer repelled little birds in the field. Extinct. Dinosaurs became extinct 65 million years ago. Virtually. It is virtually impossible to finish my report by tomorrow. Exploit. The logging companies are exploiting the rainforest. Stake. I stretched a rope between the two stakes. Bombard. The president was bombarded with questions from foreign reporters.
Correlation. There is a strong correlation between smoking and lung cancer. Intriguing. This novel raises intriguing questions about what it means to be human. Stagnant. The Japanese economy still remains stagnant. Fray. Both parties entered the election fray. Splurge. I felt the urge to splurge on a luxury watch. Interminable. After an interminable wait, my name was finally called. Disguise. The man disguised his true identity. Discernible. There is no discernible difference between the two versions. Covet. In distant times, the island was coveted by France and Spain. Recipient. I added her email address to the recipient list. Transparent. The government should make healthcare reform more transparent. Deficiency. The extreme diet caused her vitamin deficiency.
Pacify. They tried in vain to pacify the angry crowd. Traumatic. His death was the most traumatic event in my life. Bicker. They are always bickering about what to eat for lunch. Affluent. She grew up in an affluent family. Incidence. The area has high incidence of cancer compared to the national average. Swap. We swapped phone numbers and email addresses. Comprise. The United States is comprised of 50 states. Do. You can pay your membership dues online. Impel. He felt impelled to express his own opinion. Cranky. She was a little tired and cranky. Inter. He was interred next to his wife. Rumple. The man rumpled his hair with his hands.
Staid. The company is trying to shake off its staid image. Shoddy. Consumers have a right to be compensated for shoddy goods. Trepidation. Investors are watching the market with great trepidation. Heist. He was charged with a heist of $3 million in cash. Conceal. The food manufacturer attempted to conceal the fact. Billow. The curtains billowed in the breeze. Perverse. She seems to take a perverse pleasure in making her parents sad. Levy. The city plans to impose a levy on cars entering there. Mutilate. A mutilated body of a woman was found in the car yesterday. Dank. The inside of the cave was dark and dank. Cripple. The plan was crippled by a lack of funds. Figment. That episode was just a figment of her imagination.
Chuckle. The audience chuckled at the lecturer's joke. Limp. His legs suddenly went limp and he couldn't stand on his own. Scuff. He scuffed his shoes on the carpet. Acrid. The acrid smoke from the burning car made my eyes water. Taint. The water was tainted with industrial waste. Crest. The church stands on the crest of the hill. Aperture. We entered the cave through a narrow aperture. Agnostic. I am agnostic and not sure whether there is a God or not. Envoy. The EU sent a special envoy to the area. Squarely. We must face and deal with the issues squarely. Decrepit. The decrepit building was transformed into an excellent hotel. Gnaw. A rabbit has gnawed the tender leaves away.
Impulsive. She made an impulsive decision to quit her job. Blanch. She blanched the corn briefly in boiling water. Tier. The coach introduced 3-tier training courses. Dividend. The company declared a dividend of 25 cents per share for this quarter. Logistically. Such tests are logistically difficult as they are time-consuming. Impoverish. The agricultural policy has impoverished local farmers. Induct. She was inducted as an honorary member of the association in 2013. Topple. He was involved in a plot to topple the government. Impound. He had his car impounded for driving on an expired driver's license. Counterpart. The foreign minister discussed the matter with his French counterpart. Snide. She made a snide remark about my clothes. Drool. Babies begin drooling before they begin teething.
Supplant. Conventional lamps are being supplanted by LED lighting. Feasible. The plan is technically feasible. Obnoxious. They get obnoxious when they get drunk. Mortality. The lung cancer mortality rate has increased in the country. Dice. Peel and dice the potatoes into small cubes. Erratic. He was driving his car in an erratic manner. Lure. They lured the boy to a deserted park. Insular. The village is quite isolated and people there are insular. Breach. He was accused of breaching the contract by the company. Avarice. All her actions were motivated by avarice. Specify. The contract specifies the time period. Surge. The wetlands serve as a natural barrier against tide surges.
Truncate. Those interviews were published in truncated form. Alignment. The pain was caused by my spine being out of alignment. Conviviality. There was a lot of laughter and a great sense of conviviality. Emaciated. The disease causes infected animals to become emaciated. Impertinent. They were thrown out of the conference for being impertinent. Disciplinary. The university decided to take disciplinary action against some students. Annulment. The team announced the annulment of its contract with the foreign player. Prescient. The economist was prescient about the financial crisis. Tyranny. They fought to liberate their country from tyranny. Constellation. To the right of Mars lies the constellation of Orion. Niggle. He tends to niggle over little details. Debilitate. The patient was severely debilitated by surgery.
Doomed. Everything he tries seems doomed to failure. Infirmity. Her death was due to the infirmities of age. Abominable. The food at the restaurant was good, but the service was abominable. Docile. The horse looks very docile. Voraciously. When she became a teenager, she began to read books voraciously. Inception. He was a member of the committee since its inception. Renowned. Many renowned musicians came together for the charity. Irk. The city council's decision irked many people. Pulverize. Put the ingredients in the food processor and pulverize into a fine powder. Sinister. The man had a sinister look on his face. Velocity. We will assume that the velocity of the moving object is v. Expire. My driver's license expires in 3 months. Deteriorate. The country's economy deteriorated rapidly in the early 1990s. Collation. The team is responsible for the collation of data. Probationary. All new employees will be subject to a probationary period of 6 months. Vigorous. We had a vigorous debate on the issue. Peddle. There are some trucks on the street peddling ice cream to kids. Demur. I demurred to her proposal to keep the store open late. Configuration. The configuration of atoms in a molecule determines the molecule's properties. Execute. He was found guilty and was executed. Refurbish. That hotel was fully refurbished last year. Ruffle. Some of the pages of this book are ruffled at the top. Fallible. Human memory is fallible and susceptible to influence. Revile. The mayor was reviled as racist. Amenable. He is amenable to advice. Euphoric. The good news put his family in a euphoric mood. Enzyme. Enzymes are essential to the human body. Demure. His daughter is shy and demure. Snarl. My neighbor's dog always snarls at me. Delirious. She was delirious and nothing she said made sense. Furtive. He threw a furtive glance in her direction. Paltry. The company rejected a paltry 1% pay raise. Perceptible. The light was barely perceptible. Ameliorate. They were striving to ameliorate educational quality. Fervent. The memorial service was preceded by a fervent prayer. Promiscuous. The artist led a promiscuous lifestyle. Thrust. He thrust his hands into his coat pockets. Epitaph. A Latin epitaph is inscribed on his tomb. Imbue. They were imbued with Christian faith. Annihilate.
The president has vowed to annihilate terrorists. Recede. The floodwaters slowly receded. Ascetic. He lived a very ascetic life for a long time. Faculty. Faculty meetings are held on the first Monday of each month. Impede. The civil wars in the 1990s impeded the country's economic development. Imperious. She demanded an imperious tone. Indolence. He has a reputation for indolence. Fortuitously. Our visit to the city fortuitously coincided with its summer festival. Sneer. A faint sneer came over her face.
Brandish. The robber brandished a large knife. Scarce. Job opportunities are scarce and unemployment is high. Ferocious. The ferocious dog was put in a cage. Trite. He kept on using trite phrases in his speech. Proposition. Satisfying both sides is not a simple proposition. Enliven. The residents discussed how to enliven the area. Fiendish. The man approached her with a fiendish look on his face. Outcast. She is very afraid of being labeled as an outcast. Propagation. They are dedicated to the preservation and propagation of the giant panda. Tangle. Whenever I fly a kite, it ends in a tangle of string. Subversive. The movie was banned for being too subversive. Jumble. The photos are jumbled in the folder.
Quirk. Everyone has their own unique quirks. Exorcism. They thought an exorcism was necessary to get rid of the evil spirits. Prevaricate. The politician should stop prevaricating and tell the truth. Zeal. The mayor worked on the problem with great zeal. Depict. This portrait depicts a famous politician. Irrigation. A child fell into the irrigation canal. Pasture. Those cows are put out to pasture throughout the summer. Underwrite. Not a few investors agree to underwrite the project. Rebate. You need to fill in this form to get the tax rebate. Irascible. He is irascible and childish. Empathize. It is important to empathize with and understand others. Conscription. The country has a mandatory conscription for all of its male citizens.
Data file. Legislature. Hegemony. Constituency. Territorial integrity. Regiment. Infrastructure. Inflation. Checking account. Overdraft. Insurance policy. Sawmill. Wharf. Pier. Layover. Output. Mergers and acquisitions. Consortium. Syndicate. Conglomerate. Economies of scale. Retailer. Lifetime employment. Liability waiver. Kickback. Bankruptcy. Dowry. Ridership. Pariah. Derelict. Life vest. Burglary. Looting. Petty crime. Reoffending. Perpetrator. Defendant. Plaintiff. Juror. Jury. Prosecutor. Attorney. Barrister. Jurisdiction. Capital punishment.